All right, so I'm going to have to switch off my camera because I forgot I have no power, and I'm only going to have electricity probably tomorrow again, meaning that it's chewing up all my data on my phone. So I'm not going to show you me, but I can still share without it taking too much data. Okay, so we are looking at snooping and air checking at the moment and managing talent throughout that. So we're looking at different sections, right? So I want to start by looking at the ACE approach, which is in your next level radio textbook. So that's on page 293. Okay. So it's part of managing and nurturing talent. I have mentioned this before in class, but just to reiterate once again, you need to firstly appreciate them, coach them, and evaluate them. So they need to understand that you appreciate who they are, what they do. You need to bring out their best qualities. So you need to coach them to figure out what they are best in and evaluate them. So by always providing honest and fair feedback. Okay, so you can't just constantly be criticizing unless it's constructive, but you always need to make sure that you work in something that they're doing well. Okay, so show that you are appreciating them. And often radio talent will tell you that they are not being given coaching that they might feel that they need, or that coaching that brings out the best in them. They'll complain about this continually. And they'll always say that it's only their mistakes that's being pointed out to them. And this is the kind of stuff that you need to focus on, to not only focus on the mistakes, okay? And this is where the evaluation comes in. And this differs a bit from coaching in the sense that it involves taking stock of where the show is at the moment and setting goals for the talent of where you want them to be at the end of the day. So radio presenters need to be given goals to work towards so that they can pursue them. And that's where these coaching sessions also help. Okay. So it's about spending time with your talent, ensuring that you are present to coach and direct them, and you give them constructive criticism that provides a path forward. If there's anything that you are unsure of how to solve a specific problem with your presenter, you work through it with them, okay? You be honest with them and you tell them the doubts and your issues and you try and resolve it together. So you need to set expectations, really important, okay? You need to involve yourself in the process. So in other words, don't simply tell them what to do. So act out what is best for them and help them by shaping them when they perform. You can't just criticize and tell them what they're doing wrong without them understanding how to do it correctly. Listen to and take interest in their ideas and learn how and why they approach their show in a specific way. Have discussions and show them that you're in the business of making a show for success. So show them how to make a success. You might have different preferences for criticism and guidelines and guidance. Some people prefer a very straightforward approach, okay? And other people are more sensitive and they don't want you to coddle them, for instance, or no, rather they would want you to coddle them and not be so hard and straightforward. Some might want to see you daily for check-ins. Others might want to meet with you once a month. So it's all about finding what will work best for both you as a manager, but also for the presenter then. So it's about giving great praise to talent when they do perform, okay? And then share the blame when something fails. A great manager, a great leader, don't say, okay, cool, you made this mistake. You don't put it on one person. In essence, it's you as the manager that takes the fall, that needs to take the blame for this thing, okay? So you all work together in where you are at. Not everyone scores, but everyone plays on a team, and that's the thing, and help set up the goal scorer to score. I want to move now to Valerie Geller's textbook on page 65, just with regards to EdCheck. So again, we started talking about this last week in class, where we spoke about where do we find tomorrow's talent. How do we find them? What should we be looking for? The fact that a person's faults are what makes them likable. You might like to be with people that you choose for friends. Or you might like people overall that you would choose for your friends. So they have a lot of the same flaws that you do. They might have similar values as you do. So preoccupation with the self, a tendency to procrastinate, self-delusion, some darkness inside of you. Perhaps a jealous person, someone who might grovel or is greedy, who has a addictive personality. So in essence, what does this come down to? They shouldn't be too perfect, because perfect is boring, okay? Perfect means shallow and unreal and fatally uninteresting. So don't try to be perfect. It's your imperfections that makes you exciting on air, that makes you exciting to listen to. Passion for me is a big one. It's about the kind of sense of humor. Like me personally, I have a dark sense of humor. So I like people who also have a dark sense of humor, and who has a specific intelligent humor towards certain types of subjects, whatever it is. Someone who likes talking about, let's say, psychological or spiritual matters and debating things, whatever it is. So what are we looking for actually? People who are unique, intelligent, bright, and articulate. So good listeners, strong personalities and opinions, and a variety of interests, okay, about what you are passionate about. Definitely a big sense of humor, big readers. Often they are the rebels, okay? Definitely the shock jocks. They might be the odd ones out. I've told you this before. Most of all, a great personality will possess a quality that is at once indefinable and compelling. So it's the X factor. Okay. So it's about the last time that you were somewhere, and even though you felt uncomfortable, whether you were cold or whether you were late or whatever it is, you couldn't move because you needed to hear the end of the story. When is the last time that you experienced that? Because that's what you want. Okay. That is definitely what you want. So storytellers also help. Okay, it helps to hire storytellers, which some radio stations do, and we try and find someone that will be able to work with you in the terms of storytelling. But it's about how can they keep it interesting and bring in new talent, etc. And sometimes what happens is it might be the right person, but they were put on the wrong show, and that does happen. But we need to keep this in mind. The talent itself may be great, but the setting, perhaps you're in the wrong city or on the wrong radio station, or like I said, the wrong channel, right? So it's all about how it goes. Like, for instance, the David Letterman show was actually started in the middle of the day, but it didn't work very well there. The folks at the network, though, felt that they had something and that the show can be great. So what happened then was it metamorphosized into this really, really big hit, the Late Nights or Late Night with David Letterman. So they moved it to a later slot, okay? And sometimes this is what you need to do. It's about taking the risk. Believe in your talent and take the risk. So this is called right casting. And part of this right casting is learning the abilities of your different presenters. So don't expect a serious interviewer or a journalist to go on the morning drive and, I don't know, become a comedian, be funny, because that's not that doesn't come naturally to them. It's not their strength. Right casting for everyone, however, it's not just about the presenter. It's about everyone. It's about what radio station will best fit you. What do you like to do best? How do you find this shoe that fits? Also, how do you find a producer that fits with you? Okay, so there's different places and different types of personalities that you need to find that you can actually work with and work well with. So when it comes to your show, it's about, are you comfortable, more comfortable playing it safe rather than taking a chance on air? Do you worry about looking foolish or not? When there are mistakes in the air, is it always someone else's fault? Who is to blame for sloppy on-air presentation? That's a big one. Are you afraid of getting fired? Does that motivate you, or what is it that you're doing on air? If you did lose your job, how easily do you think you could find another one? And this is important because If you can't easily replace the specific presenting job, then you may need to also express your creativity in other ways. Okay, you might need to become more multi-skilled to find different types of work. So many hosts and producers and salespeople have gone into different areas that they also become really good in, because you don't want to settle just for the sake of having a broadcast career. But still, if having to make sacrifices in the form of a move or take a pay cut or make lifestyle changes, etc., is something that you're not willing to do, then you need to have a job where you are more properly cast, or find something that from the get-go you know will work for you, which isn't easy. Okay. So I want to chat about these emotional triggers in content creation. So this is on page 301 of Next Level Radio. Okay. When we look at these air checks, when we're conducting air checks, we'll always end the session with a clear and achievable goal. So there will always be a goal for you to work towards. And it needs to be at least one thing that you can easily accomplish by your next session, okay? This is like, this will then become the opener for the next air check, is have you worked on this? Have you focused on that? However, you should always try and let the talent initiate the goal setting. So me as the coach in your Snoop sessions need to try and get you to initiate a goal, something to work on, okay? Something that you feel you need to improve on for the next time we see each other. So it's about that you should, at the very least, aim to never lose a listener, okay? So presenters need to be encouraged to tell the truth, make it matter, never be boring. Use the word you. Use you instead of I. So why do I do that? It's saying that you might feel at the moment that you have so much on your plate and you can't get to everything, instead of me going, I know I feel at the moment that I have so much going on and I can't get to everything. Do you see the difference there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so in the one, I'm putting myself first. So I'm talking about me, myself, and I. In the other one, I'm getting you to engage with me by using an example that might trigger you, that might make you think about where you are at the moment and whether this is applicable to you, etc. Okay. Avoid boring listeners. Yes?
Quick question, ma'am. So like they're saying that we should use you instead of I, but then doesn't using I also like incorporate within the storytelling? Like, for instance, you tell a little bit of a story during a link and then you throw forward to the next link, but then you tell a story to then start the conversation that's going to be following by using the word I instead of you in that instance.
So there are obviously cases where you will say I, but you could perhaps, before you tell your story, start with, imagine you being in the scenario, or have you ever, or when is the last time that you blah, 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 and then you tell your story from your perspective. But then again, or not then again, and then you just rope them in by engaging, by going, sure, like, whatever, this could be you right now. And if you were in this kind of scenario, I would love to hear how you got out of it, right? Do you get what I'm saying there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So it's like, instead of saying, I have tickets to give away to you today, we're going, you can win tickets today, for instance, as well.
Oh, right? Okay.
So it depends on the scenario, the examples. Obviously, in storytelling, I want your point of view, but I also don't want you to exclude your listeners. So you need to engage with them right at the beginning in your hook already. Make them think about their experiences with this also, whether they agree or disagree with you. And that's also where the different characters come in, right? Different personalities, and someone else might go, I completely disagree with you, and then the listener goes, yes, I also do, or yes, or I have a different opinion, and the listener goes, no, I don't believe in that opinion, I think he was right from the start. Okay, it's that kind of building up to make sure that your content is universal for everyone.
Okay, I get it now, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Right. So avoid boring listeners. Great radio can be described as emotive radio. So radio that evokes an emotion, whether it be a strong emotion of anger or a softer appeal of intrigue. Everything that a presenter does should be framed around the following question. Does this make my listener feel something? Have you made me feel something? Okay. If you can answer this question, then you'll make sure that you're never boring. So that's where this emotional triggers in content creation comes in. So what can you do? You can be entertaining, teachable, inspiring, inclusive, relatable, empathetic, by providing amusement or enjoyment. Okay, so not necessarily ha 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 super humorous, but I'm enjoying it. I'm feeling positive. You can demonstrate or tell us something new. So you can be educational, lift people up, excite them, encourage them. So inspire me, help people feel part of something. So make me feel part of the community, include me in the community overall. Have things in common with your listeners. That is really, really important. That's why the quirks are so important. Okay, the stuff that you might think makes you weird or different are probably the things that will most likely create a bond between you and a listener. Again, think about that example that I read to you about the kind of friends that you have. Why do you have that kind of friends? Okay. Or how are they? What are their personality traits? What is the personality traits that you look for in friends? Then share feelings with others. So empathetic. Are you an empathetic personality? So there was a great example, and I'm sure I would have told you this before, but anyway, of a radio station who took calls about listeners, and the one listener was on her way to move back to wherever she came from, where the station is from. And she just sent a message through to say she's so happy that she can listen to the station again. It's their favorite radio station. And then I phoned her and they just asked a little bit about a story to get more info, like where were you from? Why did you move away? Blah, blah, blah. We're so glad to have you back. And she went on to tell the story about how she moved for her career. She wanted to become an actress, but she couldn't cut it and couldn't find any other work. So she became a prostitute. So then she was a prostitute for 2 years on the streets before one day waking up and deciding she needs to change her life and deciding to move back. And that on air makes amazing radio, because then we got the whole story. So we were empathetic with this listener just simply by finding out a little bit more about them, not just casting them aside. And that in itself like opened up so much for this radio station and for the listeners. And obviously like they would have made so many loyal listeners that day by being the way that they were on air. Okay, anyway, so that for me is like, it's quite a big thing.
Yeah.
Not everyone, by the way, can be empathetic. Not everyone is naturally empathetic. Some people are way more empathetic than other people, but it's a skill you can learn, because to a certain extent you need to have empathy to become a radio presenter.
Ma'am, quick question. So in that scenario, the prostitute scenario,
Yes.
who's that lady? Is that a person who was a listener relating their story, or I didn't quite get that part right?
Yes, that was a listener who SMS'd in to say she's so glad that she can hear them again, because they are her favorite radio station, and she just moved back to wherever they are based, and she's always been listening to them. She couldn't, and now she can again, so she's super happy. So that was like an SMS. And then they phoned her to get her story, just to go like, hey, we're so glad you're back. We'd love to put you on the air. Tell us a bit more, like what happened. And then they were just empathetic in how they spoke to her. And this story came out. And then they put her on air to get the story on air. And there was crying. And it was really an emotional, amazing piece of content on air.
Yo, I wish I heard that, hey?
So then when it comes down to it, how do you maintain your current listeners? It means that you need to simply keep to what you have been doing. All right. So you have to pay attention to the listeners that you already have so you don't lose them. Don't only focus on always trying to get new ones. Okay. So there are 14 tips in Next Level Radio about that you can use for air checks. The first one, use the word you that we spoke about. Use the word you instead of I, depending on the scenario. Avoid boring listeners by avoiding to be a boring presenter. Maintain your current listeners. Don't forget about them. Avoid manufactured topics. So always consider listening to things before putting anything on air. So a good way to do this is to imagine a listener in the same room as you. Because manufactured topics are those aspects of radio that make the listener feel that the story or the piece of information that they receive is only there to fill a gap. Okay. So, and when we can pick this up, when we think that you are giving us content that's already out there, we switch off, we tune out the same way you do as when people read to you and it's boring. So you always need to ask yourself, if we are not talking about this off air, then why should it go on air? Never take content to air that you won't talk about off air with friends.
Ma'am, can you like give me an example of a manufactured topic?
Sure. For instance, let's talk about the fact that Derek Watts has died, and the former Carte Blanche co-host said that his death felt like a huge sinkhole to him. So what a loss that is for TV. He was in TV for so long. Blah, 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 blah. Or for instance, inflation slows to the lowest levels that we've seen it in 2 years in South Africa, and the annual consumer price inflation is now at 4.7 in July from 5.7% where it stood in June. That's all very boring stuff. Or for instance, the looting can't continue, and today is the biannual election, so make sure to go and vote for your ward so that you can have the person you want in there. Or can the Boks make it back? Can they win this World Cup? If we think about it, this is what these people say about it.
So, ma'am, basically a manufactured topic is something that the listener wouldn't really be engaged in listening to.
Yes, my apologies. I ran out of data.
Oh, no problem, ma'am.
So I just quickly had to buy data.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so what I was saying is, for instance, top 5 best movies to go and watch the week. Biggest series to watch at the moment, or the biggest songs on the BB, on the Hot Top 40, whatever this week, that kind of stuff. So generic content.
Okay.
So
yeah, understood, ma'am.
It's all about what will you talk about off air. Will you talk about what is the biggest 5 songs of the week? Well, you might, but other people might not necessarily. Or will people talk about the top 5 books you need to read, for instance, with friends? Or would they rather say, wow, I have watched this amazing series. If you haven't seen it yet, please, well, you need to go and watch it. Okay. So that kind of stuff. Then what is in it for me? So if I'm your listener, what is in it for me? In other words, what am I as a listener gaining by listening to you? Will I feel entertained, interested, like I'm having a personal conversation with you? Are you making me laugh or smile? Am I learning something new? Or is the information that you're giving me something I can take away and share with other people, like knowledge? What is in it for me? So again, would you talk about this off air in a general conversation if you didn't have a radio show? Okay, then number 7 there is what listeners want. So all listeners want to be informed and entertained and have fun. Okay, pretty much. Whether you are alone or with friends or whoever, family, you want to feel part of a community. You want to feel connected. And radio has the power to do that, to build connections and share stories. Presenters need to embody this and give listeners this, okay, what they want, the shared experience of being informed and entertained while having fun. Then you need to give them interesting topics to talk about, things that are interesting. Regardless of what people are sharing on social media, most people don't have very exciting, glamorous, thrilling lives, okay, or careers even. So people like hearing about topics that they can share with other people, so that it seems like they are in the loop, that they are in the know, and so that they can spark an interesting conversation, okay? And people are always looking for something to talk about. So it's very important that you keep content fresh and explore new things all across. Then make them laugh. Radio needs to be entertaining, and the best way to do this is to make people laugh. That doesn't mean like everyone on air needs to be funny, not by any means, right? But you need to be able to provide amusement and enjoyment as part of providing entertainment. Because listeners want to live vicariously through you, and they want these experiences. So they want to be taken on a journey that they wouldn't be able to take in their own lives. So if you can make someone laugh, it's like handing them like a piece of gold. There's a reason why I've said this before as well. People might date other people who are not that good looking, but they would say they are so funny, or they'll date them for their awesome personality because they make them laugh. They make them smile, okay? They make them feel positive. Different types of humor. So think about it, like not everyone is funny, and sometimes it doesn't even have to be intentional. You just have that sarcastic personality or that dark humor or whatever it is that makes people laugh, because they relate to you and they pick up on these little things. So that doesn't mean that you have to be someone who is naturally funny. I am not a funny person. I by no means would ever say that my strength is humor, and I hate slapstick comedy, for instance. But I have a dark humor, and I'm very sarcastic. So I will throw sarcastic stuff out that will make my friends laugh, for instance. Okay. Then speak visually. Theater of the mind. Okay. Audio can show up differently in someone's mind, and everyone who is listening to you will perceive this differently. So if you were, for example, also think about a pink, sweet-smelling rose, you and I will have different mental pictures of this rose that we are seeing in our minds. Some might be Barbie pink, others might be bright pink, others might be salmon or even peach. And even that smell, a sweet smell will be different for you than it would be for me. And I might imagine that it has a specific stem with some thorns. Other people will imagine it might have leaves and no thorns. Long stem versus short stem, whatever it is, okay? We all experience things differently. And this can be described in such a manner that we all think about it the same way. So spoken word's greatest gift is that it can create powerful words into pictures that are unique for every single listener, the same as what a book does, okay? Therefore, describing and explaining things to your listeners is so important because they need to develop those pictures in their minds. And it's an essential part of your role as a presenter. Then when it comes to topic selection, these are the 3 big ones, okay? Heart, health, wallet. So there was a study done. So it's actually not even us just making it up. There was a study done of heart, health, and wallet. And it showed that these rules of topic selection will always apply. So in addition to health, which is things can be personal safety, COVID was big with health anyway, heart, which is touching your emotions of any kind, and money stories, okay, wallet. There's also a new content bucket that Valerie Giller added that she called transformation, and she described it as how your life as a listener can be better tomorrow than it was today because of what you've heard on air. Okay, radio stories and topics showing a listener what's possible and the distance between where they are and where they could be, as how they can traverse the distance. So you don't have to settle for the life that you have. Okay, this this idea that it can get better rivets your audiences. That's like Oprah, wonderful example, extreme makeover, DIY fix shows, like all those kind of things. So what you have today can get better. You don't have to accept it for what it is. So that, and then err on the side of brevity. What does that mean? So brevity can, well, Hamlet once said, brevity is the soul of the wit. Great radio needs to be brief, concise, to the point, use time considerately. Okay, the operative words here, concise and succinct. Kiss, keep it simple, stupid. Okay. Yeah. Anything too long is going to bore your audience, or you're going to start repeating yourself, and then it becomes boring once again, and then you lose me. So brevity, short and concise, okay? Short and to the point. Break down your story and give me that skeleton. Give me the heart of your story. The same way if you broke down your day, you would focus on the things that made you emotional, not everything else that you did along with that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, emotive content. Then inspire. Everyone wants to feel good. If you can make your audience feel good, feel this way, you will have their attention. Moreover, if you are uninterested in a certain topic, it's unlikely that they are going to be interested in you. Why? Because if you're uninterested, you will sound uninteresting. So it's always good to ask these two questions before you speak on air, before you go on air. Why should this matter? Why should my listeners care about this? Okay, we're going back to first and second year radio there with those. Why does it matter? Why does my listeners care about this? Why do I care about this? Do I actually care about this? Am I passionate about this topic? Okay. Then snooping themes and snooping checklists. So taking in all of this stuff, you need to apply them within a set theme or set of criteria, which helps keep snoops productive and focused. So I haven't even gotten to the point yet of really snooping you on these kind of stuff. At the moment, it's more on this, erring on the side of brevity. Right? And this, avoiding manufactured topics. So this is everything that you need to answer, like you need to make sure you can do. And there's a 9-themed approach for this, which is quite an interesting one. Well, quite a big one broken down as well. And the 9-theme approach, hello?
Can I ask, ma'am? So is it possible for, like, I want to go back to point number 5, the one that spoke about avoiding manufactured topics. So, how can I put this? Like, is it possible for a topic to not feel manufactured to you, but feel manufactured for the listener?
Yes, depending on your delivery, your performance.
Oh, so it's all about the delivery and performance, which will determine whether it feels and sounds like a manufactured story.
Because remember, content is king, but context is queen. So it's all about the context in which you are presenting said story. Also, how are you presenting it? You can have the most riveting story in front of you, but if you are reading that story to me word to word in a monotonous tone, I'm going to switch off in the first 5 seconds.
Okay. So it's all about the delivery / the
Delivery is
context as well.
really important. How do you use your voice? Are you performing this piece, or are you simply talking like this? Like, everything has different concerns that you need to be aware of. The best practice is to meet them with the on-air team or the presenter to decide. Okay, it's about how you do it. Every theme has different concerns that you have to be aware of. The best practice is to meet with your on-air team or the presenter to decide on a theme or a content piece to snoop. Just changed my voice there, okay? And my projection, big one, projection. Sound excited when you're talking, smile when you're talking. I used to tell my presenters to put a pen in their mouth and keep it there for a minute. Because even if you're having a sad or bad day, your mind, your smile is tricking your mind into thinking you're in a better mood than you are. Okay, so always try and smile on air. So now I'm smiling while I'm talking, and can you hear? I sound warmer.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Sound more approachable. So that's the difference. Okay, so yes, content very important, but your delivery equally important. The context in which you're delivering just as important. The one can't live without the other.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So there are 9 themes that Johnson recommends that you look at when snooping. So it could be on interactions, on your memorable moments, on recycling content, on breaking the construction, on your show prep itself. That's one I'm focusing on a lot. On your relatability, on your show structure, imaging that you use, or individual performance. Okay, so it's broken down into these, and each of these in turn is then broken down into a lot more information that needs to be consumed within it. Okay. Okay, I'm going to ask you a really big favor and ask whether we can stop here for now and then take it from here tomorrow for tomorrow's class, simply because I can see that I'm getting a lot of emails with regards to this campaign that I have starting next week on the 6 radio stations.
Okay.
Which is quite a big campaign. But so this is literally where we will start again at the 9 theme approach.
Okay, ma'am. So tomorrow at is it 10:20 or 10:30?
It's, let me just confirm, tomorrow is Thursday, it's 10:20.
10:20. Oh, okay, no problem.
And Snoop sessions, by the way, on Friday.
In our group though, I saw the messages. I think you spoke about the Snoop session for tomorrow.
Is it? For what time?
Ma'am.
Did I give you a time yet, or am I waiting to confirm for you to confirm a time with me? What group are you?
Group 3, ma'am.
So let's see. I see 10 o'clock on Thursday. Okay, yes. So that's just before the online lecture in any case. So I will be at BMH in any way, because I have a lecture from 8:20 to 9:10. That's why, to 10:10, which is why I said 10. So from this, after the Snoop session, we'll go into lecture.
Okay, no problem, ma'am.
So perhaps the lecture can start at 10:30, because I have a feeling it might be you and me. Actually, on Thursdays, there tend to be more people, I've noticed.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, cool. So then we shall continue tomorrow. My laptop is almost flat in any case, here without power.
Okay, no problem, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Cool. All right. Have a good afternoon.
You too, ma'am. Bye.
Bye.